Hi, everybody. It's Lynn Cox here, clinical hypnotherapist and rapid transformational therapist. Happy New Year. I hope that most of you had a lovely holiday season and are looking forward to 2024. I do always say that any day of the week or any time of the year is an excellent time to look at areas of your life that you want to make changes in. So I've worked with a lot of people who experience symptoms of stress, anxiety, depression, also who are attempting to shed weight and have tried many other methods. But I posted up earlier today. So anyway, I know a lot of people think about these things in the new year. I posted up today 2 cards with visuals and words. One of them said healing, and the other said clinging to the past, and more on this today. So I just want to share a little bit of an anecdote. So the first woman who I met who was a spiritual teacher to me. She wasn't a trained psychologist, but she was a spiritual leader, but she was very, very wise and well-versed in all different sorts of, positive psychology, as well as different world religions, etc. She was very wise. She is very wise. She's still with us, still alive. But anyway, she was the one who had first said to me, and this was years ago, before I'd explored any of these concepts of therapy and more healing modalities, etc. She was the first one who said to me that it is completely possible to recover from anything that ever happened to you, that regardless of anything that ever happened to you, is essentially the message being it's more in our perception of it that's what counts. And I did learn a lot from her. We had a one-to-one and one-to-many relationship. She taught courses, so I participated in group courses. We also had many a one-to-one conversation. And she'd said this thing to me as well that I found quite interesting. And I've seen this now echoed in many different areas and based on now working with several clients. So she was telling me about a client that she had, somebody who was seeking healing and advice from her, who had experienced pretty horrific childhood abuse. And she said that the woman had said to her, and the woman, I think by the time she was speaking with her was, I think she said in her 50s or 60s. And she said, I just feel like I don't even want to be here. And the moral of this story, or the relevance of this in terms of healing and clinging to the past is she hadn't up until that point found a way to resolve or heal from or kind of move past to a degree these horrible experiences that she'd had in the past. Now, any kind of abuse, neglect, particularly when it's a child, can cause and does in fact cause a wide range of issues for people if they're not dealt with. But the interesting and I believe totally true perspective of this first teacher I ever had is that it's possible to heal from anything. It's possible. It's not always probable though, because it does require focused attention and a decision to do so. So that was the first kind of aha moment, and this was now at least maybe 15, 17 years ago that her and I had that conversation. It really was eye-opening for me and very fascinating to me. And then also I have another friend who works for like a health insurance provider, one of the big ones here in Canada. And she had noted a trend. So she didn't give me data to support this, but it was a trend based on what she was noticing within people who are putting in claims, as well as colleagues. And it was this trend of women in and around the age of 50 taking time off for non-physical medical stress leaves. And and it was, from what she could see, dealing with this idea of unresolved pain and traumatic events from the past rearing their heads later in life, and making it very difficult for these women to function, or to function well. And so that goes to the same point that that first teacher I had was talking about, and her experience with the one person who came to her for help, just saying, just sometimes I just don't even want to be here. After having these negative experiences of abuse, of trauma. So, healing and clinging to the past, it can become difficult to feel more joy in life. That kind of like calm and peace, and kind of that idea of happy for no reason. And it can be difficult to do that if you do have some of these unresolved pains, experiences, resentments, regrets. It can make it difficult to move forward in life in a way where you're happy, where you're healthy too, because another impact of this is it can be having your nervous system basically in overdrive. So a sustained kind of fight, flight, freeze response, being in that sympathetic nervous system, you can kind of get stuck in that if and when these experiences from the past aren't resolved to a degree. And I hear a lot of people who I've worked with have waited for a very long time to address different symptoms that they're experiencing. And then when we do go back into regression, there have often been cases of some kind of abuse, neglect, trauma to varying degrees, but all being noted as the source of what they're experiencing symptomatically in current day, present day, kind of getting in the way. And this can have all sorts of negative effects on us. It can be really depleting, like really exhausting. A lot of people then end up doing other things, having other habits to kind of soothe and cope. And that shows itself in a variety of different ways, from food to other substances to shopping, excessively shopping. Or I've also seen it in the case where there's this excessive need to be perfect, or to be a super high achiever and high performer. So it can come out in all sorts of different ways, but the key being working on some healing and resolution, and then not clinging to the past. So people may look back and think that, I'm not clinging to that because it's something that I didn't, that was not a positive experience for me, but it can kind of get lodged in there in different ways if we don't work to eradicate it, release resentments, and then also adopt this idea, or adopt a belief, that regardless of how terrible or horrible an experience was, that it is possible to still be a happy, healthy, whole, functioning person. Sometimes people are under the misconception that healing needs to take a very, very, very long time, or that that there's a direct correlation, say, between the how terrible an experience was with how long then it would take to recover. And so now I'm not diminishing anybody's experience. I myself have had personal experiences. I've worked with many people, and I do a lot of reading about this and talk to a lot of colleagues. But I think those are common misconceptions about recovering and healing, and then feeling more happy, healthy, whole, optimistic, gaining back more of your energy by being able to then regulate yourself a little bit more, and get that kind of deep rest and more time in your parasympathetic, which is your rest and digest, calm nervous system. That's when everything has a chance to heal, recover, and repair. And so, just if anybody's thinking about it, maybe just a little litmus test, just ask yourself, hey, are there any kind of deep resentments that I'm holding on? Or do I have some things that feel like they're real regrets? Real regrets that we know when you think about them, it kind of really gets you in your core. So resentments and regrets, noticing if you have any of those would be a key indicator that maybe there is something that you want to work on having some recovery from. And it can be quick. It absolutely can be quick. So anyway, just wanted to share that today. Hope you're all doing well and having a wonderful start to your year. Bye for now.